Okay, folks, so a little while ago I made a video talking about Trump filing a defamation lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal. It's been going on for some time. The most recent update I have on it is that the Wall Street Journal filed a motion to have it dismissed, which I'm a little on the fence about. On the one hand, I do understand why people in news outlets don't like defamation lawsuits. In fact, that seems to be the one thing news outlets agree on, regardless of whether they're liberal or conservative, is that they both don't like defamation lawsuits. And while I do understand the point of, defamation lawsuits posing a danger to free speech when they're filed against news organizations, and you guys have all probably been following some of these same types of stories in the news where, either it's a settlement or it's dismissed, or in some cases they lose. And I agree that's kind of scary. I mean, the news should be allowed to criticize the president. They should be allowed to speculate about conspiracies that may exist. However, this one with the Wall Street Journal, I actually want to see the discovery process follow through and actually get the facts of it. Because the alleged misinformation that the Wall Street Journal supposedly is spreading about the president is in regards to his possible involvement with Epstein's underage sex trafficking ring. So if this case were to stay open, it could give us some insight on whether or not Donald Trump was involved or whether or not Donald Trump was a client, using tested, verifiable facts. And with some of the strange things coming out in the news recently about Donald Trump going back on his campaign promise to demand the release of the Epstein files. And back in 2018, when he was president the last time, where he appointed Andrew Acosta as the Secretary of Labor. For those of you who might not recall, Acosta was the state attorney who gave Epstein the plea deal in 2004. There's also some new documents that were released very recently of him testifying to the Oversight Committee, where he claims to have never spoken to Trump before being appointed as Secretary of Labor, and to have never seen, to not be able to recall seeing his name in any of the investigation documents. Kind of like how the CEOs of Enron suddenly had instantaneous memory loss every time they were asked questions about their scandal, Not to mention, if he's protecting Epstein, who's to say he's not protecting Trump too? At least, we could speculate that he could be. So in other words, the discovery process on this defamation lawsuit is likely going to give us more insight than that dude will, so there's that. So things like that have gotten a lot of people having some questions about the president, and this defamation lawsuit could be a source to give us some answers. Now, it's still up in the air whether or not the court's going to grant the dismissal, and even then, the Wall Street Journal did comply with the subpoena they were given to give the court the documents they had that led them to believe that Trump had written a letter to Epstein before they broke up or whatever. So at least that aspect of it is going to be tested still. And again, when I say I want the defamation lawsuit to follow through, I specifically and only mean the one with the Wall Street Journal regarding the letter he's said to have written to Epstein. I honestly don't care if the president wants to file a defamation lawsuit every time he sees something in the news about him he doesn't like. Well, I agree that sounds like a dick move. He's apparently done so many, like each one could have its own individual details behind why or what happened. It's really kind of hard to judge a whole basket of lawsuits just because the same guy filed them. But yeah, that's my take on that so far.